Hello, welcome to day 3 of the Liverpool Fashion Summit. Today we have Sarah Obrien and Katie Roche from Make Thread. Girls, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Good, thank you. Yeah, how are you?
Yeah, I should probably say that the three of us did our MBAs together, so we know each other quite well, and it's a little bit weird to be interviewing in such a formal capacity. Would you agree? Would you agree, Miss O'Brien and Miss Roche?
Yes, no, I would.
So, like the previous interviews, I just want to start with a couple of quickfire questions. Is that okay? So the first question, which is, I've heard this on a podcast the other day, and it's going to be every interview I ever do, I'm going to open with this question now. How do you explain what you girls do to a 10-year-old?
Okay, I can do this one. So you draw a design for a t-shirt, you upload it to our web app, and you sell it to a group of people. Then we make that and do all the hard work and then send it to those group of people, and then we give you money.
Is that pretty fair, Sarah?
That's pretty fair, yeah. I was going to say, I would probably say we allow really cool people to make their own clothes.
I like that. That's better than mine.
Yeah. Really cool people make their own clothes and then they make money.
Yeah.
But you do the making of the clothes, though, don't you?
We do, but at the same time, we save the planet. That's a key thing. So,
right.
Yeah, you see,
So,
we help people make clothes and we also save the planet at the same time.
So that is something I exactly want to get onto in just a second. But second quick fire question, just to get us into your minds a little bit. What song's going around your head at the moment?
Okay, Rebel Rebel by David Bowie, because we are probably the rebels in this industry that are trying to shake things up.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Why is that? Why would you say that? Where does that come from?
Well, we're totally changing the way that the process of fashion works and going to be upsetting a few giants, hopefully, in the making of that.
Awesome.
We're the rebels of the fashion industry.
Yeah. Is that your tagline, or it should be your tagline?
It should be now.
Yeah, that's a good one. So, right, make a note of that one.
Yeah. Go on, Sarah. What's going around your head?
See, when you say this, you say what goes around your head. The only song that ever comes into my head when you make that statement is "You Spin Me Right Round," because it's like going around your head.
You know what? I think someone said that the other day to me, so maybe it's the way I'm phrasing the question.
Yeah, what goes around your head, you spin me right round.
Yeah, so thank you. I'll make a note of that.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
So just take us back to Make Thread then. Where did Make Thread come from?
So we obviously, as you know, we're doing our MBA and we were doing some research for a consultancy project, and we found a massive gap in the market. We found that fashion designers, there's 46,000 fashion designers enroll every single year, and only 1% of them will get a job. So we started looking into why, what happens to these students, where are they going? You know, they're working Costa, Starbucks, things like this. And then we looked at the barriers to entry, which was, you know, they didn't have any startup capital, they didn't have a network, they had no like manufacturing capabilities. So we started to sort of go down that route. And then we looked at sort of like different business models, and we looked at like the likes of Depop and how social media is massively affecting a normal e-commerce business. And then it turned into, okay, but what about all of like fast fashion, and what about the waste? So we sort of, all these things were going around, and it was a case of pulling them all together. And this is where Make Thread was born from, was trying to provide a risk-free route to market for designers, but also in a sustainable way, in a sustainable process, not just the product, but the process is sustainable. So it sort of evolved as we were mind mapping everything out.
Yeah. So it was actually born in a lecture, so to speak. God, and the reason I point this out is that we're going to have some students, maybe some newly graduated fashion designers who could be watching this. So actually what you've highlighted is that, you know, your career or your dreams don't start at graduation. They can start beforehand. They can start during your time at university, because that's what you guys have done, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how is it? So you've taken the idea in university, as we say, you've graduated, and then what's happened? What's the journey been like since then?
Okay.
If
So
we could draw it, this.
I wouldn't even say like this. It's like
Yeah.
I think setting up your own business is actually harder than what you think it's going to be. We thought we would have. But it was funny because we were speaking to one of our lecturers about this. We tried to get as much help and advice and resources as possible to begin with. We tried to think, I suppose, a bit smarter when it came to like setting your own business up. But we were speaking to one of our lecturers and he was like, yeah, do you know what? You're going to be live within 7 months. And we genuinely believed, we were like, yeah, we're going to have a fully functioning and built marketplace, social marketplace, and we're going to be live and we're going to be turning over money, and it doesn't quite work out that way. So I suppose what did we do, Sarah? We decided to pick up a base of where we could connect with people who were like-minded and just learn from other people and network with people, and we just ended up deciding that the Baltic Creative was that place for us, and then it just went on from there, really.
It's funny, it's sort of evolving, because at the beginning we were very much, I suppose, we both come from industry, we've both come from, a corporate role. So we sort of left behind that natural grit. We had this conversation yesterday about, if you decide that you're going to clean cars, you'd get a sign with a piece of cardboard, you'd write £5 here, you'd stick it on a thing, and you'd be like, right, okay. So because we then had this academic sort of like model, this background, we went down every single route very, very, like how you're meant to, and followed the path. And it's really funny now, because as it's evolving, we're sort of like ditching a lot of what we were doing, and we're now going back to the £5 sign with the cardboard. So it's definitely changing. Obviously you use some of the models, but sometimes, you just need to, it's just grit, and you just need to get in there.
We're definitely more entrepreneurial rather than, I suppose, more like academic and putting it all on paper and following it exactly how you think the plan's going to be. There's a big difference, actually.
There's a thing that says, people say that they think outside the box. So you might think outside the box, but do you act outside of the box? Because if you're, as an academic paper would say, you're thinking outside of the box, your actions are not outside of the box. Your actions also need to mimic that. So that's something that me and Katie now are sort of going, okay, well, we're disrupting the industry. We need to be disruptive as in people, not just saying that we're disruptive. We need to physically disrupt.
Yeah, but it's also about creating your network, and that's what when you're in university, a lot of the time they try and push your network on you and stuff. But we have created a network of friends who have started their own businesses and have been successful with it. And on Friday we met one of our friends, and he was like, guys, like, you really need to just be like just be a bit more pushy and a bit more like, this is who we are, and just ask the questions that you might be a little bit uncomfortable asking. Just ask them. And since we've been doing that, we've actually been doing that for quite the past sort of like month, 6 weeks. And our business now is going in a direction that we didn't think it was going to go in straight away. We thought it would go in that, like in 9 months' time or so. But it's accelerating quickly now because we've asked those uncomfortable questions.
Yeah. So would I be right then in saying if you were to do it again, you'd not ditch all the MBA strategy stuff, but you'd get the cardboard, stick out the lemonade stand or whatever you want to say, and just say, this is who we are.
Yeah.
This is what we're doing.
Yeah.
Not be perfect.
Yeah. Done's better than perfect, isn't it?
Exactly.
You hear that all the time.
Yeah.
So tell us about the sustainable aspect of Make Thread then.
So we're not only is the product that we supply sustainable, because obviously that's really, really important. So all of our garments have got approval, Fair Wear Association. So obviously, you know, the workers are paid the right money. But for us, it was more about the process as well, because in order to achieve like net zero, it's not just about the product, it's about the process, and it's about changing consumer behavior. So what our model does is, yes, the product is sustainable, but we provide a sustainable solution to e-commerce as well, because we only manufacture when there's a demand. So everything that we do goes live for a period of time. We see what interest that there is, and it's almost like a Kickstarter. So it goes live, a design goes live, consumers can then almost like pre-purchase, show that they're interested, and then we will manufacture when we have that demand there, which means that our garments don't end up in landfill. So, you know, all of these like the giants, you know, they might do a run of t-shirts, let's say, and it sits there as stock. So none of our items go in the sale. We're not selling off, and we only make what is needed.
Yeah. And do you think is that part of your plan going forward then? Because as you start to scale and grow, you hear these stories all the time that, you know, all the big brands say, oh, when you're a little bit smaller, if you're a boutique, you can afford to be doing that sustainable stuff. But when you have these large offices, when you have all these assets, etc., the sustainable parts of the business model affect the profitability of the organization. So is it something that you would like to stick to? Do you think you can stick to it?
Yeah, I mean, you could say obviously it's going to affect your, you know, like your bottom line, but the whole point is it's about your morals, and like our business is built on the moral of, you know, doing good and doing something that's positive. We're not a business that's already established and pivoted and going, we want to be sustainable. You know, our business model is built from the core of providing a sustainable solution. So for us, it's not driven by profit. And our model is very easy to scale because we know what the demand is before we then manufacture. So it doesn't matter whether we're, you know, making 25 garments or 150 to 1,000 garments. It's still the same process.
Yeah. And I think the key thing that we have to highlight really is that we don't hold any stock. We don't have any tied up money. So in terms of affecting your bottom line to begin with, and you know, there is a smaller demand for sustainable items at the minute, I suppose, just because it's not completely accessible, which we're trying to make sustainable fashion accessible. But we don't have huge amounts of money tied up in unwanted items. We're not saying, oh, do you know what, that didn't sell out, so we're either gonna put it on sale and then it doesn't sell anyway, or high luxury goods, they just get, like, their attitude is, okay, that's a loss and we're gonna incinerate it or put it in a landfill. But that's a loss of money. We don't have that in our process. We've eliminated that.
Yeah. We sort of say that we make fashion that is wanted and loved. Yeah. So rather than, you know, that purchase of, you know, you go into a shop and you think, oh yeah, okay, I'll just get it. Ours is a process of thinking about it. And this is why it's about changing consumer behavior, because consumers have to wait for their products, which means that they're more bought into it. And it means that they think about their purchase more than just a flippant, oh yeah, I'll grab it. So it's a different process altogether.
Yeah. Amazing. I mean, obviously I've known some things about Make Thread, but it's actually really interesting for me to hear how it's developed and how it's grown since we were all working together as well. So if you look forward 10 years then to 2030, what do you think the fashion industry will look like?
So, I mean, what we think it will look like versus what we would like it to look like might be slightly different. So I think you're going to see more independence, because obviously we know with COVID, there's much more, support your independence, support your locals. You've already got marketplaces popping up of not on the high street, things like that. So I think it's going to be much more independent led. I think that there's definitely a shift towards like reusing as well, because you see the sites of like Depop, and it's about reusing fashion. So it's about having fast fashion, but in a sustainable way. So whether it's through reusing or independence or more limited edition. So that's the way that we hope, and I think that sustainable items will be more accessible, because at the moment it's very, very limited. But it shifted away, because originally sustainable fabrics were quite sort of scratchy. So if you look at like when Stella McCartney first did it, and they were very like scratchy, and that was the only thing that was around. Whereas now it's really, really soft, and you see all over that organic cotton is way more accessible than what it used to be. So that's the sort of route. I think people are more aware, and people are more conscious about what they're purchasing. And I think COVID has massively highlighted some of them factors. Do I think it's going to be the perfect sort of scenario? No. You're still going to have like the big giants, and you're still going to have the people that want fast fashion. But I do think there's a change, because even the London Fashion Week, people like that, even that's changing. This last year, there's been so many more like ethical, sustainable brands on the runway that they're having to change, and they're the ones that are leading it. So I think there's going to be a shift.
Yeah.
But you, Katie, what do you?
So I think it's going to come from businesses like ours, because we are the future generation, the future business leaders. And the giants are only going to change really for like two reasons, because either they have to, because of legislation and regulations, or because the competitive landscape has changed, because the consumers are becoming more educated. Like Sarah said, this pandemic, there has been a sustainability boom, because consumers are being informed now of the fact that people aren't being paid. They're learning about where their clothes are coming from. So it's really the future of fashion is going to be in 2030 is really only going to come from pressure from companies like ours challenging that process, consumers becoming more educated, and hopefully far more sustainable than what it is now.
Yeah.
But it needs to be governed for that to happen, because at the moment there's no governance on it. I mean, yes, you can be a B Corp, but apart from that, there isn't really any governance. So unless you put that in place so you can measure that, all you're going to do is get greenwashing. People are just going to tick the box and say, we are doing this and we are doing this. And it's just through marketing and wording that they're actually not doing what they say that they do. So like that's something that massively needs to happen, is about, governance on how sustainable is your business, whether it's fashion, whether it's any business, making cars, whatever, car manufacturers are measured on emissions. So why is fashion not the same? So I think there needs to be more governance.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a roundtable later today, and I hope that idea of virtue signaling will come up, because it's a two-way street, I think, on that. And what you said, Katie, about the big corporations need to be pressured by organizations and brands like Make Thread. Well, that actually intersects quite nicely what you said before about asking those challenging questions. So by asking the challenging questions, you're seeing some development of your organization, but it actually has a sort of meso level impact, challenging the larger brands as well. So I think we like that. That. Where would anyone go to find out more about Make Thread? Twitter, Facebook, which is best?
Instagram probably.
Or Instagram.
Instagram. Yeah, Instagram's probably the best. So at Make Thread on Instagram.
And a few designers might be watching this. Are you happy for them to get in touch with some designs, maybe?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your time. I hope it hasn't been too weird.
No, it's been great.
And I think, as I say, we'll be seeing you at the round table later on, maybe. So
Yeah.
for now, thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Katie. And enjoy the rest of your day. And everyone else, enjoy the rest of the Liverpool Fashion Summit.
Thanks so much.